As for the youngsters, I think Jenny Buckley she's the next star. I was always sort of afraid that I'm going to be lost once I'm done competing because it is such a big part of your identity, like at that level. It's all you do, it's all you think about. My wife was pregnant most of the 24 seasons, so I was like so excited, to get a baby, and yeah.
I wonder if I try hard. I don't know. I gotta think about it.
I don't want to be mean, but I'm sure you're not. I don't think
Welcome to another episode of the That's Not Real Climbing podcast. I'm your host, Jenny, and I'm excited to introduce my guest for today, Gregor Vezonik. Gregor is a boulder and lead climber from Team Slovenia, but he recently retired a few months ago from competitions. In this episode, we'll get insight into the powerful Slovenian team, how he made the decision to retire and all the planning around it, what it's like climbing with Janja, and we get to hear him geek out about holds and hold shaping. It was really exciting for me to hear about how much love and psych he still has for the comp scene, so I hope you enjoy this episode with Gregor. Real quick, I'm excited to announce my new sponsor helping make this podcast episode possible, Mad Rock Climbing. I got fitted with their brand new line of high-performance shoes, the D2.1s. They just came out December 6th, but you might notice a few of your favorite comp climbers are already wearing them, like Oscar Beaudrand from Team Canada, and also me. This is the first time I've gotten to wear their shoes for an extended period of time, and I'm actually super impressed with the grip of their in-house rubber. And of course, the famous drone heel that everyone says is the cheat code to heel hooking small edges. Feel free to message me if you have any questions about the shoes or sizing, and you can use the discount code NotRealClimber for 10% off your entire Mad Rock order. Info will be in the description. Back to the show. Where are you at right now?
I'm in a climbing gym.
It looks very clean. Oh, okay. For a climbing gym. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Were you setting today?
I was setting in the morning. Was working on a spray wall, actually.
Setting on a spray wall?
Yeah, setting the spray wall, like resetting it.
Huh. What goes into setting like a spray wall? Or can you just like put stuff up wherever, or do you actually have to like think about it?
I think most people don't know how to use spray walls, so it's really hard for them to like set spray walls well. But I think, a lot of thought goes into setting a spray wall.
Really? Okay. Yeah, I always thought you just like throw whatever old holds you have up there. No?
No, it's not like that. It's the way I do it is I start at the bottom, like the quarter, and then I go from there, because I feel like in 1 square meter there should be all type of grip types and like directions and all of that. So a lot goes in, yeah.
So you've like seen a lot of like bad spray walls then?
I think most of the spray walls are bad.
Ooh, okay. Starting out with a hot take already. Okay, so what's like a bad spray wall versus a good one?
I mean, it depends what you want, right? Like who the people are going to be. They're going to be climbing on it. But if you're setting for like a high level, most spray walls have too many jugs on it. Most spray walls have the footholds that are too good. A good sign of a bad spray wall is also like in like one small spot you have very similar holds turned into very like similar directions. So if you have like 3 pinches that are all in the like kind of diagonal, that's not good, because it just doesn't offer as much as it could. It was funny, a couple of years ago, I saw the new training, like USA Climbing Training Center for the first time. It was the one that they just moved, and Nathaniel Coleman and Ben Hannock kind of took me through the whole thing, and they showed me the spray wall and the boulders and stuff, and they were super psyched about it, because obviously it's a really good place. And they were like, "Oh, what do you think of the spray wall?" I was like, I think it's shit. I don't think it's that good. Yeah. And at first they thought I was joking. And then we started talking about it, and like we kind of like, and then I talked to Josh as well, and he was like, "Oh yeah, we have to change a lot of things, because it's not ideal. It's not like optimal."
So did they change it after?
They did, yeah.
Okay, nice.
They did, and like the last few years that I've seen it, it's like now it's really good. And I'm
that's
not
good.
saying I'm the person that changed it or anything. I just it's gotten like significantly better every year that I see it now. Yeah.
Well, that's good for us, I guess. Yeah, that's interesting to know. I mean, I don't really climb on a spray wall that often because I don't think I climb at a high enough level where it's like I don't run out of things in the gym. So then I'm like, I don't really like having to memorize holds on a spray wall, so I'm gonna avoid it. So yeah, I guess I never really thought about it, but yeah, that makes sense. Okay, so I guess getting into your background a little bit, just starting from the beginning, how did you get started climbing and competing?
Yeah. So I was born into a climbing family. My parents are both climbers. They met in a crag, and then my brother's a competition climber. So yeah, I was just kind of born into it. I was in the crags, yeah. So I spent most of my childhood outside in crags, climbing, playing under the rocks and stuff.
How old were you when you started like competing? Because I guess it doesn't sound like your parents competed.
My dad actually, I'm not sure if my mom competed, but my dad did compete. He competed at the first Yugoslavian national championships in,
Whoa.
I think it was in '86, and he got third.
Whoa. Okay.
Yeah. I remember he had this little cup that he got. And he was so proud of it. And then I started bringing home medals and stuff. And he was like, "Oh, I still have my cup."
Aw.
But
Yeah.
I did. So I started competing nationals when I was 8 or 9.
Mm.
I think 9. But I did like divisionals and regionals before that.
Hmm.
Yeah, I started competing when I was young, but I started climbing even before that.
Hmm.
Basically, I don't remember the time when I wasn't climbing.
So I didn't actually start watching comps until maybe like it's like kind of recent, like maybe 2021 or 2022. So is your brother older? I would assume.
He is older, but he never actually competed at the World Cup level. So
Okay,
yeah.
gotcha. Well, I guess since he also competed, did you ever feel like competitive against each other or like against your dad
Oh
or
yeah.
anything like that?
I mean, my brother for sure. Like when I started like training a bit harder, I guess when I was like 10, 11, whatever. Uh, and he was still training, and he was good. Like we never could train together. There's like I don't think we ever did a training session together
Wow.
because we were super competitive against each other. Also, we're like very different people and how we approach life. So we just, yeah. Also, it's like, yeah, like we're brothers, 4 years apart. So, um, yeah, I think it's kind of tough for boys that age to, to really get along as brothers,
Oh, really?
especially if you're in
Okay.
especially if you're in like a competitive environment as we were. 'Cause, yeah, we were both competition climbers.
I mean, although I guess if you're 4 years apart, you're not really competing against each other in like a same category or anything like that.
Yeah, we weren't in the same category, but yeah, I do feel like there was competition between us.
I see. Who was like was there like anger involved? Is it like, or like what did that look like?
I don't think there was like actual anger, but it's just like yeah, I don't know. It's hard to explain. I think we just had such a different outlook to life that we also approach climbing differently. Um, and that's why it just never worked. Which, like, now looking back, I'm kind of sad we didn't do it because, we could have learned from each other, I guess. But yeah, it just didn't happen, and that's okay.
I mean, are you guys like still competitive nowadays or?
No, 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 no,
Okay.
no. We're quite close now.
Okay.
It's
So
very
now it's
different now.
chill.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What would you say is like his approach to climbing versus yours that's so different?
He was always kind of like really into being like super strong, doing one arm pull ups, like just campusing stuff. And I was more of a because I'm really weak, so I had to rely on all other stuff. And I was studying climbing a lot, like the movement and all these sorts of stuff. So yeah, I think that's the main difference that we had. And he was like
Okay.
this. He was like this big jacked dude, like had huge biceps. And I was a skinny kid, no muscles.
Huh. Well, it's interesting you would say that like naturally you're weak, but like you guys are brothers, so same same kind of genes, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think it's just because I think he started training when he was like actual training when he was younger than me, and so I was I was sort of like just climbing as you know doing it as a fun activity. I had other stuff going on, and he was like really early on. He was really focused just on climbing, and so he was actually training, and I was more sort of like just climbing, discovering movement, and playing around. So I think because he started doing that so early, he developed like more muscles, he got stronger, and I just didn't. So yeah, I guess same genes but different approach.
Mm-hmm. Okay, interesting to know. Okay, so you're kind of like, well, you are the first Slovenian athlete that I've interviewed, so I kind of have some general questions about climbing in Slovenia. It's a pretty small country. So what do you think makes the team so dominant? Is there like a long climbing history there?
Yeah, I mean the country is really small. There's like 2 million of us, um, but the history is we have so much history of alpinists and then rock climbers and then competition climbers. I think there's like three things that make the team so good. Like first of all, I think because we've had competition climbers for so long, we have a long history of the of coaching as well. So our coaches are very knowledgeable. So they basically know what they're doing. They know how to train. And I feel like that knowledge has been transferred from the old coaches to the new coaches for the last, I don't know, 25, 30 years, maybe even, yeah, 35 years. So yeah, we have really good coaches. Secondly, because the country is so small and we've had, successful competitors since like forever. I think we had the first world champion, Martina Čufar. She won world championships, I want to say 2003. So, and after that, we've had, and before that, we had Alyosha Groom, who was on a World Cup podium. And after that, obviously, we had like so many good competitors. And I feel like because the country is so small, there is like a really big chance you're going to interact with those people. So, if you're close to someone who's that good, it's just kind of makes you realize that, it's possible. The person who's winning the World Cup is also just a human. They're not like some freaks that you like, they're not doing something that's not possible for you.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, I think we have like a really good program from when we're kids to when we're adults. So basically, like for me, I joined the youth team, like the national youth team when I was 13 or whatever.
Yeah.
And because we have such a good tradition of training and coaching, when I was 13, I was kind of put into this environment where everybody was training, and that's what like I kind of understood what training means, what you need to do to be good. And then it's sort of like for me it became a way of life. And if you start to develop these habits that are going to make you successful in the future, and you just like keep doing that for years and years and years, and if you have if you're going to throw 25 kids into the youth team or 30, those are already handpicked. And then if you have like 25, 30 talents in the team, eventually they're going to be good when they're 21, 22, or whatever, 25. So I think these are the three main things that make us good. Because in reality, like infrastructure was really bad until like a couple of years ago. Because we still only have, I'll have to count them. I think we have like seven commercial gyms in the country, but we probably have 30 different spray walls.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
See, you are the spray wall expert then. Okay.
Or maybe even like 50 spray walls. I don't know. But it's just like people are training. There's a lot of small clubs, and they all have reasonably good training programs. And also like at a very young age, like you're just so close to everybody who's competing. So, you sort of like kids sort of feed off each other. and learn stuff from each other. And they get it, like they have a chance to climb together more often than kids in the US, because they live, like a 6-hour flight apart.
Yeah.
Here, here everything is 2 hours away.
So you like grow up just training on a spray wall instead of like commercial gyms?
Oh yeah, I grew up training on a spray wall. Absolutely. I like my parents, because my parents are both climbers, so we would drive to Austria a lot. Also, I grew up, 5 kilometers or 6 kilometers from the Austrian border, and they did have a lot of commercial gyms, but it was mostly elite. So like for me, we would drive to Austria reasonably, like a lot. Yeah, like reasonably frequent. But other than that, it was just like spray walls all the time.
Yeah, I find it interesting that people would be interested in getting into climbing if they only have access to a spray wall.
Yeah, but I think you're looking at it from sort of
A
your
US
bubble, because
perspective, yeah.
I'm assuming you don't have a lot of. I don't actually know, but what's the closest rock climbing crag to you? Like, how far do you have to drive?
Well, I don't climb outside, so I actually don't know. Half an hour? Yeah.
Okay, like where I grew up, there's like probably like 12 crags within 20 minutes with a car.
Oh, okay. I see.
So I like a lot of climbers in Slovenia up to recently kind of grew up rock climbing. We're only now, like the last 7 years, or maybe I won't racking, maybe it's been longer, but because I feel like in the US you guys have like I would assume the majority of climbers are indoor climbers.
Yeah.
In Slovenia,
yeah.
the majority of climbers is rock climbers. So maybe the spray wall is not the thing that kind of drives you in, but sort of like rock climbing gets you in, and then because you want to get better at rock climbing, you have the spray walls that are gonna make you better.
And then does the Slovenian team like train together a lot?
Yeah. We do have, because we also have the training center in Ljubljana, in our capital, and there's like we have it for the last 3 or 4 years, but even before that we trained together a lot. But even before that we trained together a lot. Like now, I feel like every week there's new boulders. There's like comp simulation. There's there's a lot of stuff you can train on, and most of the people on the team live kind of like close to the training center, like an hour drive maximum. So I mean, obviously it's really good to train with people that are on a high level.
Yeah, they're gonna push you.
Yeah.
And then in terms of, I guess, like athlete funding, I know it varies a lot country to country. So did you feel like you were able to make a full living just being an athlete?
Yeah, in Slovenia, it's actually like really good. We do complain a lot, but I think because I should say we did complain a lot. I'm not part of the team anymore, but I think we got spoiled. But in reality, if you are selected for the comps, everything is going to be funded, so you don't spend any money. Also, once you get to when you get to a certain level, if you're lucky enough, you're going to get employed by the government. So there's most of the athletes on the team are employed by the army. I was employed by the police, which means you get salary, you get insurance paid, social security, whatever. Everything is like you're an employee.
Okay, that's good.
And I mean, you're not going to be like once you're done with comps, you're not going to be a rich person from it. But
Sure,
yeah, you're making a living. It's not like you're spending money for climbing. You basically you are a professional.
Yeah.
So it's really good.
Okay, and so I guess as you're exiting, who on the Slovenian team do you think is going to be one to watch out for coming up the ranks?
I think there's the usual suspects that have been on the scene for so long. You got Janja, Vita, Luchka, Mia, Luca, um, and all the rest who've done so well in the past. I don't think things are going to change drastically in the next few years. As long as they compete, they're all on a really high level. As for the youngsters, I think Jenny Buckley is.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's the next star. Um, I yeah, I just talked to her recently. I don't think she's just like super talented. I think she's also like very mature for her age, has the like work ethics, and yeah, if all goes well, if she stays healthy and everything, I think she's got a really bright future. And I'm sure I'm missing people out. To be honest, I'm not that involved with the youth team, so
Fair. Yeah, that's true.
I don't. Yeah, it was really fun. I was setting a youth simulate like for. I'm setting a lot for the team now, and I like a month ago I was setting for the youth team, and I was like, oh, I want to see who's coming, so I just know the level and stuff, and I checked the list. I was like, oh my god, I don't know anyone. I should get more involved. I was like, yeah,
Yeah. Well, now you know a little better after setting for them, I guess.
yeah. No, it's gotten significantly better in the last month. So.
So going back a little bit again to your like competition career, what do you feel like was your career highlight?
I There's the obvious too. I think winning World Cup and um, yeah, podium at the World Championships.
Is there anything that's like not a win that really stands out to you?
There's a couple of comps where I did like reasonably well, but going there, I felt like shit. I was tired. I had pain, and I remember I'm not gonna remember which year it was, but it was like one of the Meiringen comps. It was the first comp of the season. I felt like shit for 3 weeks before the comp. I didn't make finals at the national cup. I had pain in my shoulder. I was like, I don't why am I going to this comp? I even had like a conversation with Roma, my coach, like should I be going to this comp? And then I got there, kind of switched it on, and ended up eighth or ninth, which is not too bad.
Yeah, feels pretty good.
So there's like a couple of comps like that where we would go to, I don't know, we'd go to Asia, and I wouldn't sleep, felt like shit, but still kind of switched it on and had a good result. Those were always special, but because the result was not the podium finish,
You don't remember it as
maybe they
much
aren't.
looking
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Yeah. Any like traveling highlights?
Oh, there's everything was a highlight.
Really? Well, like you
The
like the
life was,
traveling part?
yeah, it's just such an amazing life to live. Like you get to travel the world, you see all these amazing places, you're traveling with your friends, and you get to do the thing you love the most. And for some years in between, I was kind of like sick of it. Um, but I was just like, maybe me being too obsessed with the results and not like looking at a bigger picture and being like, okay, I'm super privileged to be doing this. This is all amazing. But it's very easy to get like, because you just get so blindsided. You just, the only thing you see are results in climbing, and it's yeah. But I feel like all my years traveling global and competing was all a highlight for sure.
I mean, yeah, because like sometimes if you are like nervous for a competition, I'm sure you don't even really get to experience the traveling part.
Most of the time, at least for me, that's how I function. Is like I would go to a comp, and like a lot of the time, people on the team would like make fun of me that I'm gonna run out of vitamin D, because like we would get somewhere, you know, stay in the hotel, go training, and then go back to the hotel. I'm also like, I'm a very picky eater, so a lot of the time I would just eat in my hotel room. I wouldn't even go to restaurants. So I think I've been to Tokyo, I want to say 8 times, and I've never explored Tokyo. I like people ask me how Japan is. Yeah, it's good, but in reality, I've never explored it that much.
Oh,
It
okay.
was just like, but I'm not saying everyone's doing that. It was just my comfort zone. That's how I felt like I should be functioning. And sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't. Yeah.
Well, so then if you didn't actually experience any of the traveling part, then what did you like about traveling?
I still experienced it more than not being there. You know what I mean?
Okay,
I
I
didn't.
guess so.
I wasn't. I wasn't. Like. Yes, I was traveling the world, but I wasn't a traveler. I wasn't going there on vacation. I wasn't exploring different cities. Yeah, a tiny bit, yes, but still, you get just even if you like if you're just in the hotel room, if you're driving around the city, you still get to experience different cultures, different cities and countries. Yeah.
I find it interesting that you're a picky eater, because I also feel like I'm kind of a picky eater. So sometimes traveling gets weird. But I feel like it's really hard if you need to like stay fueled and like compete and perform. So when you're traveling, did you have like a go-to meal that is like good for that? Because I would love to know.
I, I think I was pretty bad with my diet. Like, to be honest, I don't think it was a well balanced diet. Because like I'm a vegetarian, so by all scientific data, I'll have to be like peeling up on protein differently, and I wasn't really taking care of that. Um, I remember like I ate a lot of like instant ramen stuff.
Oh wow, for competitions, okay.
Yeah, I mean I would have like protein bars and stuff, but I don't think I was a very good example of what an athlete's diet should look like.
So
Yeah.
you didn't even have like vegetables before a competition?
Now
Okay.
obviously like I'll have vegetables and fruit and all that stuff, but yeah, not ideal. Yeah.
Yeah. So as a picky eater, what's like the most popular food that people like that you can't stand?
I mean, meat is a big one, isn't it?
Well, I
Meat
don't
and
think you
fish.
can say that you're a vegetarian, so that makes you a picky eater. Like
Yeah,
usually
yeah, yeah.
picky eater is like, oh, you don't like food just because it like tastes bad or something.
Eggplants,
Okay,
olives.
nice.
There's a
Nice,
really
nice.
weird one. I get like really bad migraines, like going to the hospital bad, and I figured one of my triggers is cheese.
Uh-huh. That's fair.
So I haven't had cheese in like 8 years, and that's like it's like imagine going to France and you can't eat cheese, or going to Italy and it's
Mhm.
like everything's cheese infused. So that's like it's such a pain in the ass. Like you go to a pizzeria and then like, well, I guess I'm gonna have pizza without cheese.
Well, does it like work? Like you don't have those migraines anymore?
It's getting better. Yeah, it's not just connected to that. I think it's like connected to a lot of things. They're also I've heard they're like how do you call that? Like you sort of get them from your parents or your grandparents.
I mean, I do too, so
Okay,
and I think my dad does, so
yeah, I've been to the Salt Lake City hospital twice because of the migraine. Yeah,
oh my gosh. So
I
it's like happened during comps.
yeah I there was only one comp that I couldn't do because of a migraine. But yeah, like Salt Lake City was always a tough one for me. I don't know why. Maybe it's the air quality, maybe it's the travel because it's kind of far. Um, I don't know.
Elevation, maybe?
Elevation, maybe. Yeah, I'm not sure what the elevation there is, but yeah,
No, yeah, I relate to that. Can't imagine what it'd be like doing competitions with a migraine. That would be really bad.
it's impossible. Yeah,
I guess like what happened in Salt Lake, it just like hits and then you just
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. There's like 3 years ago, I had to our qualities when they were in the afternoon, and in the morning I got one, and like all the time I was lying in the hospital, I was like, okay, this is gonna get better. I'm gonna get ready for like this qualities, and then I just didn't, which sucked because I traveled to Salt Lake to lay in bed for 5 days.
oh, it was for that long. Wow.
Yeah, or maybe it was 4. It didn't last that long, but I was kind of like not functioning properly for like yeah a couple of days. Yeah, they suck. I don't actually like talking about them.
Well, I'm just curious about your experience. I guess we don't have to go on, but it's just like yeah, I don't know that many other people who I mean, who get them that bad. Mine are not that bad. Like mine are stoppable with like prescription medication, which is good.
Mine are not, and I sometimes I can't speak anymore.
Oh,
Sometimes
wow.
uh, I remember like a couple of times when it happened abroad, I was just like, I don't know how to speak English anymore. Like, and then I'd have to have someone else talk to the staff because I'm just like I one time I thought I was having a stroke because I couldn't speak.
You get like all of the side effects, like
Yeah.
auras, like
Oh
nausea,
yeah.
vomiting,
Well yeah.
everything.
Yeah, yes.
Wow.
Mm, fun times. Yeah.
I guess in that case, it's like pretty impressive still being able to do competitions, because I always feel like, oh, it's so annoying, like it takes away so many days from my training. Yeah.
But yeah, like to be fair, they were never that like they didn't happen that often. Like they weren't that frequent. So yeah, got quite lucky with that.
Well, yeah, thanks for sharing that. That was good for me to know. Okay, so now going into like your retirement process, what went into making your decision to retire? It's definitely not an easy decision to make. Please excuse this brief intermission, but if you're interested in deleted scenes from this episode where we talk about transitioning from outdoors to competitions and setting for youth climbers, do consider helping support this podcast on Patreon. Some other perks include a membership pin shipped to you after 2 months, prioritized guest questions, or the ability to submit video questions, and more to come. The proceeds go back into the podcast to help me break even, and they help me improve the experience of the guests. If you'd like to help out non-monetarily, liking, commenting, and sharing helps a great deal as well. Back to the show.
It's a really hard decision. But I sort of always had like, I don't know why, but for some reason I always kept like thinking like 10 years ahead, like what I want to achieve by
It's a good thing to do.
what my life, like what I imagined my life would be like in, the next 10 years, and like sort of the stones I want to hit. And I think I've had the idea of quitting in 2024 since 2018 or something like
Whoa.
that.
Okay.
Yeah. I was like, okay, I'm not going to be doing Tokyo Olympics. If the format changes, I might have a small chance of making Paris. Paris would be a good way to stop the career. And then, but I was always like, okay, even if I don't make Paris, because I always knew the chances are really small. Maybe I didn't even think. Maybe I was like, maybe I thought the chances are too small, and that's why I wasn't even close. But I was always like, okay, yeah, like 2024 is the year I'm done. I'll be 29 years old, and then, I have so much stuff to do in my life. So yeah, sort of always had that plan. Was kind of so that this like when 2024 came, it wasn't a hard decision because I've always knew that was gonna happen. What was hard was in like 2023 when I had like a really bad season. I was like, okay, should I be like, why am I doing this for one more year? I was sort of contemplating if I should just quit or, so that was tough. But once the last comp came in 2024, I was just like, I was very okay with the decision. Well, I also like I made kind of prepared my life in terms of like I knew the stuff that I'll be doing once I'm done with my career. I kind of laid the groundwork.
Decision.
So yeah. Also, like my wife was pregnant most of the 24 seasons, so I was like so excited. To get a baby, and
Oh.
yeah. I wasn't like when this. It was obviously very emotional in the last comp, but still, I was not like sad that I'm leaving. And before the season started, I was also like very. It's like, okay, this is my last season. I'm gonna like enjoy everything, like everything, and stay in the moment and everything. So, sort of, I was like saying goodbye to this life for like a year, and it was good. It was good.
That's good to know, like ahead of time. Did you feel like relief whenever it was over, or just like bittersweet, or? happy?
I no, I didn't feel the relief. I didn't feel bittersweet. I was just like very satisfied with how my career ended. Yeah, it was just like, this is it. Now it's time to do all other stuff. I'm very happy I had this life. I feel very privileged. I got to experience all that, and so yeah, I was just satisfied.
Yeah. Did you have any like fears before retiring about what would come after or what you would do?
I honestly don't think I did, just because been I was always sort of afraid that I'm gonna be lost once I'm done competing, because it is such a big part of your identity. Like at that level, it's all you do, it's all you think about. Um, so because I was afraid that that's gonna happen to me, I did like lay the groundwork and prepared. Yeah, I knew, I sort of prepared myself. I started climbing whole brand, I and I was just like, okay, now, and I knew I wanted to be a setter, so I was like, okay, I'm not walking away from something, I'm walking towards something, and
That's a good way to put it.
yeah, so it was like, for me, it was just like really good experience.
And like now that you're a few months out, how does it feel?
I've been so busy with everything. I don't really think I had
You don't feel okay.
time. Yeah, I know. I didn't have time to think about it. Also, I've been very involved with like the Slovenian team with setting, and most of my best friends are on the team anyway. So I talk to them. I know I'm still very much involved in the competition scene. Um, so I don't feel like I'm not outside that much. I do wonder what's gonna happen when the season starts and I'll be looking at World Cups. But I think I'll just be like psyched to watch my friends compete and do well. And yeah, it's all good. It's all good.
Makes sense. Are you still gonna like travel or are you just like watch online?
I don't think I'll be watching any of the comps this year. Obviously Koper, yeah, the one in Slovenia, like the elite comp, I'll watch that.
Watch as in like go in person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Okay.
everything else, I'll probably just watch like streams.
Yeah.
Um, it also depends like where I'll be globally, because I'll be traveling quite a lot in next year. So maybe some of the travels sort of cross with the comps, but yeah, we'll see.
And so I guess in a more general sense, well, also like congrats on having a baby. That's really exciting.
Thank you.
And I'm glad that you're excited for it. Um, in a more general sense, with like all the new stuff you're working on and like also being a new parent, that's like a huge time commitment. How do you come to terms with no longer being able to perform at your best? Um, Especially, I feel like for a lot of younger listeners who are still in a phase where you're supposed to like constantly improve. I mean, even just for like newer climbers, you're supposed to like always be improving. Plateaus are like the worst thing in the world for a lot of people. Like the thought of not improving or like even declining is kind of like terrifying. Not that you're declining, like you're certainly still one of the top
No, I
athletes,
am. I
but
am.
you know what I mean.
um, I can identify with being like very frustrated when the plateaus happen, when you're not feeling that good. I remember like, I think about it now. It's like most of the days when I was in a bad mood or wasn't really psyched on life, and not in a depressed way, but when I was just unhappy with myself, was because of the feeling I got on the wall. So like I was very, very mm, basically, yeah, it defined me a lot, like how good I'm climbing. But I feel like now with um saying goodbye to comps, I sort of also said goodbye to being strong. Um, I'm not I'm not very frustrated um, when I'm not strong. The only time I get frustrated if I feel bad is when I'm setting. But not in a way that, oh, I'm shit, I can't do that move. It's more like, oh, I wish I was stronger. This, it will make the job so much easier.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because if you're setting at a high level, it's like there's a difference if you have to try a move 4 times to get the feeling of it, or if you can get close in the first try. Um, so the only reason, like, I'm taking April off setting because I want to train, because I feel like I sort of worked too much and didn't train at all. So I'm taking April off just to get back in shape. Sort of. I'll never be in the shape I was, but just to make setting easier. Because I also feel like I owe it to the athletes that I'm setting for.
So I guess the way you kind of got over that feeling was just it was no longer your life. Like you didn't
Yeah,
define
yeah, yeah,
yourself, I
yeah,
guess, by
yeah,
how
yeah,
you
yeah,
were climbing.
yeah. Yeah. It's also like a lot of like comp climbers, when they're done with their career, they still train hard because they want to do hard stuff outside. It is sort of sad, but I'm not that psyched to do hard stuff outside. Maybe because I'm too much into setting and yeah, just this whole industry. Um, I do hope I get psyched for rock climbing again, because I think it's like a really good way of living your life. But I'm not like specifically training to do stuff outside. I'm just not motivated for it, and I've come to terms with it. Even though my 16-year-old self would hate me.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
but it's just how I feel at the moment and how my life works right now. And yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, you can make more money setting than you can climbing outside, I guess. So I think it
Yeah,
makes
but
sense.
it's not. I mean, I'm not looking at rock climbing as a way of making making a
Yeah.
living. It's just like I in my head, when I was younger, I've always had this idea. Okay, when I stop competing, I'll be climbing hard stuff outside. And not necessarily as a way of making money. It's just like I was psyched to do hard stuff. Now I'm just not.
No, I think that makes sense. I mean, like as a kid, before I had money, I was like, when I have money, I'm gonna buy RuneScape Premium and I'm gonna play that all day. And then I never ended up doing that. So I think it makes sense. It's a fair. So yeah, now that you are doing more setting, how are you liking it compared to just competing?
I feel like before, hmm, looking at like a round, let's say a comp simulation. I haven't done that many competitions, but like I haven't set that many competitions, but set like quite a lot of training stuff now. Is before it was just like, how can I? There was a round, okay, and I did whatever, one boulder, two boulders, whatever. Before I was like, okay, how do I improve? Like, how do I change as a setter, as a climber to do better next time? And now I'm just like, after a round, like how do I improve as a setter to you know to offer the athletes a better training or a better competition? So it's a oh yeah. Before I was thinking about performance, and now I just think about the product on the wall.
Did you set while you were climbing too or competing?
Yeah, yeah. Not in the last 6 years, because I didn't have to, like, money wise. But basically, I started setting when I was really really young. I think I set my first competition when I was probably like 12 years old or something.
Whoa.
Uh,
Okay.
Also, when I started training a bit harder, and nobody at the local club was really that strong, so the spray wall was kind of easy. Like, very quickly, I started changing the spray wall. So I think my first setting experiences, I was probably like 10, 11 years old. And
Whoa.
because
Okay.
my dad was also such like an important part of the club, he sort of showed me how to do stuff. And so yeah, I've been setting for a long time. And yeah, like 2015, 16, 17, I did a lot of setting. Just because, yeah, I was away. Basically, what I did is, after the season, I would go somewhere, set for like a month when I had my off season, just to make enough money to make it through 6, 7 months of competition season.
How much do you feel like setting while competing helped versus hurt? Because I could see how setting while competing maybe helps you get into the mindset of what the setter wants, but it's also like so physical. So like it takes away from training.
I mean, if you want to be doing, like, you're not going to be a successful competitor if you're going to be setting, you know, multiple days a week. But if you do get into setting when you're young, and you do it, once a month or whatever, you try to sort of experience with moves. you are going to understand the movement better. So you're going to become a better climber. You're going to be reading routes or boulders better because you kind of understand what the setter's process was. And I feel like for me it helped a lot, especially in like slabs and coordination stuff. If you are a setter, you look at you look at a move and you see how the holds are positioned, and you do get the idea how it should be working. And I think it helps. It shouldn't be a regular thing because it's a physical job, and if you're setting 7 hours a day to train after that, it's impossible. I mean, you can do it for some times, but if you're going to be doing it for like a couple of months, couple of years, it's not going to work. You're going to be too tired. It's too physical.
Any aspirations of like becoming an IFSC setter one day?
Yeah, I really want to get into it. First of all, I still want to be part of the scene because I like the community so much. I also think comps are the coolest thing ever. Like,
oh, nice, that's good.
And I also I love setting. Like setting is basically it's my hobby. I wouldn't say it's my job because it's not. My my primary job is having a whole brand. I'm doing setting because I really want to be setting. And
that's good to hear.
And I feel like if you're a timer, the highest level you can compete, like the highest level you can achieve as a competitor is World Cups. And it's same for setters. Like the highest level you can compete, like you can get to as a setter is the World Cup. So yeah, I want to be trying out concepts. I want to be putting stuff on the wall for the best climbers in the world, basically, and see what's possible.
That's really good to hear. I mean, even though like I'm doing a comp climbing podcast, I feel like a lot of the people I even interview are like, I rarely hear that someone say that they think comps are the coolest thing ever. So that's good to hear.
I have my problems with like formats. Or format is a bad case, but I do see problems with comps. But I still think like getting the strongest climbers in the world together and have them fight it out, and like there's some moments that happen where you're like, how did this just happen? This is incredible. And I do also like, I respect the commitment of the athletes so much because I know how much they're putting in, and then to see what the level is, like where you can get and the stuff you can do if you really commit. It's so cool.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Okay, and you talked about the hold shaping. That's your main thing. For those who don't know, which I feel like is probably a lot of people. I mean, I don't really know anything about hold shaping. How does it work?
Basically, what happened, like it very roughly, it's you get a block of foam. It's it's a sort of foam, and then you can either kind of sculpt it, carve it by hand. You use all these different tools, and then they make the molds, whatever. That's totally different process. Or you can shape the hold on your computer. I don't know how that works. I'm really bad with computers, and then have like a CNC machine cut it out. But it's basically it's all the stuff you see on the wall. Somebody had to come up with. And it was, most of the stuff is shaped by hand from like a foam block.
Well, so that's just the shaping process, but then the actual production is just like regular factory stuff.
Yeah. That's like totally different. Like I feel like a lot of the shapers are basically just sculptors. They're artists who are producing stuff. I don't think I'm an artist. I think I'm really actually pretty bad at I think I've done some good stuff, but I wouldn't say I'm talented. But like some shapes that I see are just like, this is artwork. And but it's also like, by the end of the day, it can't just be artwork. It has to be a product, so it has to be functioning as well. So it's like a product design. It's very similar to setting, because you can put stuff on the wall. It's gonna look pretty. You can recreate a flower with holes or whatever, but that's art. but as a setter, you have to create a product that's going to function. So I feel like it's a very similar process with shaping. It's like you're an artist, but at the same time you're a product designer. So the product have to work.
I guess, like, are there any specific shapes or holds that come to mind that really stand out to you?
There's so much stuff that I like.
Okay. Okay.
I find it quite incredible. Like there's some of the flat hold stuff, like the reliable set. I'm pretty sure it's like 14 years old. It still get used today, and it's a very simple shape, but it still works so well. And then you have like the Enterprise now cheetah shape, like the big Taji. That was shaped like 15 years ago. Still works amazingly. And or if you look at like 360 stuff, it's just like most of their stuff is just a circle.
Yeah.
It's so simple, but
Yeah.
it works so well, and they keep coming up with new stuff in that shape. But then on the other hand, you got stuff like I can get really into details. I'm like super
Yeah,
nerdy
go
about
for
climbing
it. Yeah.
holds. But
Please.
it's like if you look at some of the stuff that people have been doing with like recreating rock types. If you look at like bluestone, which is not very common in the US, but if you look at like the details on their font range, like the whole looks exactly like a piece of rock in font. Or if you look at Kilter's granite range, it's just like, how do you do that? But there's also like I get nerdy. Like every time I walk into a gym, and it's been like that since forever. I would go around, just touch the holes, and like some stuff, I'm just like, how is this so comfortable? I,
So it's about like comfort and ergonomics and
it is, but it's also like function. It's function, and it's just it's so much. If you think about like some people find root setters like super creative, and they're like, oh, how did you do that? But if you take like even like a step back, somebody had to create the product that then the setters are gonna use. So it's like, for me, shaping is sort of like one level or one step before the setting even starts. So it's sort of like carving out a piece of foam, but already thinking about the movement is gonna make it possible.
Okay. So, I mean, I know you had listened to my episode with Nikki and Jake, and they had some bold
I did.
opinions. Yeah, I also listened to when you were on their podcast, and I was glad to hear you call it out. That was a good moment for me. I was happy to hear that. Yeah. So clearly, some people have strong opinions on holds, and I think they had also said, I had asked like, is there a hold that doesn't exist that needs to exist? And they vehemently said no. So in terms of like continuing to shape holds, what more needs to be out there?
I don't think that there's like an answer to that question, because it's sort of like asking, a chef what sort of a pasta shape do we need, and we're all like, we have all the pasta shapes we need, but and yet every now and then there's a new pasta shape that
Okay, yeah.
changes how pasta is cooked. Or like,
Oh,
do we need more dishes, like actual food? No, we don't. But and yet people come up with new dishes every year. So it's the same. It's like in inventing something new. It's just, yeah. I think there's like unlimited potential. Although I do think there's not, now we're sort of stuck in brands just copying each other, sort of like following the trends. Which I'm not gonna shit on that, because I think I'm guilty of that as well. And I think it's just in reality, it's just very hard to create something new.
yeah.
Um, but I'm sure there is stuff. No, outside of shaping as well. There's like new materials we have to try. There's all these sorts of stuff that we have to play around with. It's also like, as the sport's gonna progress, it's like we're gonna notice, okay, what I'm sure like there's a setter who's gonna come up with a new move or whatever new sequence, and they're gonna be like, oh, I don't have the right equipment to do that. And then, a shaper is going to come up with that, and they're going to make that possible. But yes, there's too many hold brands in the world. I think the market's pretty saturated right now. And yes, a lot of the stuff has been discovered in the past. But I think there's going to be new cool stuff coming up anyway. It's sort of like, a person asked me the other day, like, why do you come up with a new range every year? Like, do you need that? I was like, no, but a BMW makes a new car every year, and like Apple makes a new iPhone every year. It's just sort of better, and then over the time stuff is just gonna get better. And yeah, I'm still very very psyched for shaping.
Okay. Yeah, that's good. I think that kind of goes into one of the questions that came through on Instagram, which was what's your creative process when designing a new hold? And how long does it take to move it into production?
It's like very different from time to time. Sometimes it's very quick, sometimes it's very long. Like for me, there's like two types of shaping that I do. There's like shaping for myself and shaping for my own brands, or the shaping that I do for other brands. If I do stuff for other brands, normally people come to me and they're like, this is what we want. Can you make 100, 200, 300 of these? Just different variations. Can you make a range? And that's like, in reality, there's not a lot of creativity. Yeah, there's not a lot of creativity there. But when it comes to like creating a new range for myself, it can come from anything. It can come from talking to a friend about like holds, talking to a setter about moves. It can come from just like a lot of the times it would just come from playing with the foam, sort of like, it's like it is so closely connected to the tools that you're using. So it's just like you're trying to do something new with the tool, and there's like this small detail that comes up, and you're like, okay, this detail could be the identity of the whole range. But I feel like making the first 6-7 holds in a range is the hardest. And once you have 6 or 7, you're like sort of like, okay, this is the idea, and then it's like very quick. How long it takes to get it from shaping to production, it just varies, and how the factories are, like how busy they are. I've shaped, like in the last 13 months, I shaped, I think, 900 shapes. And
Whoa.
yeah, I did a lot. But I think they're not all out yet, and some of them I shaped in August already. It's just such a long process, because they have to go through like the molding process, and then once that is done, there's all these other processes, and then in the end they have to go to a photo studio, and then like photos have to be edited, they have to be put on a website, and it's just like it takes like the holds. Once I'm done with the shaping, it's gonna take a long time before the holds are actually in the gym. So, but it all varies, obviously.
Yeah. So like a few months to a year, I guess.
A year is a lot, but yeah, like I think the most I've had is probably like 6-7 months. Yeah.
What? Also, wait, I'm confused about shaping 900 holds. Like they're all different, like shapes?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
What?
They're all different shapes. Yeah. I was shaping for, how many brands did I shape for this year? 6 or 7. I was also like, I get very obsessed with stuff, and I when I was a kid I got obsessed with climbing, and then at some point I was like, okay, because I was working with 360 like a lot, and then I was like, okay, shaping is cool, and I sort of got was like I rented out like an old garage, and just I was like, for 3 years I was sort of just like copying other holds, just to sort of get the idea of the work that you have to do. And like this year I was sort of, okay, I'm gonna make 1,000 holds just so I can perfect my craft. That's just sort of like, I'm gonna be training more than anybody else.
Okay, yeah.
And I think like some of the shapers, that there's not a lot of shapers in the world, but some of them have been shaping for 30 years or whatever. And I'm sort of like, okay, I'm not going to catch up to them in years, but I might as well do like 3 times as much they do in a year, and sort of like do 3 years a year. So I just kept saying yes to all those different like shaping jobs.
Makes sense. But I guess I'm just like confused about the logistics. Like, are these all different shapes?
Imagine this, like, imagine, I'm going to give you a very plastic example. Imagine you're creating a whole range that looks like apples, right? You know the theme is going to be apples, right? An apple. This is how the hole is going to look like. And then you go through the process. Okay, I'm going to need 30-foot holes. Okay, I'm going to put them in 3 ranges of 10-foot holes. So you create 30 small apples. And then you're like, okay, I need 15 mini jugs. You're like, okay, I need half of them have to be left hand, half of them have to be right hand. So you're changing the shape slightly, like they're getting bigger, smaller, like higher profile, lower profile, slopey, juggy, whatever. So the idea is the same the whole time. You're creating a range called apples, but you're kind of changing how the holes look like, sort of like size wise and grip wise.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense. It just sounds like a lot. Like I feel like gyms don't even have 900 holds from like all different brands. So
You're so wrong.
yeah,
So wrong.
I have no idea clearly. I have no idea. This is like blowing my mind.
Please go to a like whole brand website today.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you're not obsessing about holds anyway, but like I'm sure you have like a particular hold that you like, or like a range. Like go to that brand's website and look at how many different holds there is in a range, and then they all look quite similar, and maybe you're not even gonna look like you're not gonna notice they're different, but they're very different.
Yeah, I'll have to do some research. Because I guess when you're saying holds, you're not just thinking of like the flagship or like standout holds. You're also just talking
No,
about
no, no,
like
no, no, no.
small like foot chips or whatever.
Yeah. I'm talking about everything, you know, from the smallest chips like to the biggest fiberglass macros, and yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. So do you have any like hold hot takes? Any thoughts on like no text holds or like the worst holds, worst
Yeah.
materials?
Uh, I don't like to talk shit about like shapes. If from just from the reason because I know how hard it is to come up with something new, or how hard shaping is. Like if you've been through the process, it's just like it's just a heinous process, and if I don't like something, it doesn't mean someone else is not gonna like it. So obviously, I think there's some bad stuff on the market. But yeah, so I don't have like a worst hold in my life. But in terms of like no text, I think it was a cool idea. Like when they came up with them in Ben at the World Championships, where it's just like such a shock to the athletes. They also just like they're doing their job, right? This they were created for sort of like paddles, and sort of they were created with an idea in mind. Like they know what they wanted to achieve with those holds, and they work really well for those things. Um, I'm not I'm not a fan of now all the other brands doing no text holds. I just think that's like okay. I don't think we need more of them. Because like last year at the trade show in Europe, like most of the brands had no text holds. Like I don't think gyms need more of that.
Mm-hmm.
Basically, those holds is like you're gonna stick to them more if your hands are moist. And like we've seen athletes, you know, lick their hands at comps to get more friction on it. Not sure if that's the best thing to do. Um, and a lot of the times it's just like not my favorite holds, but I'm very impressed with the fact that they came up with them. I think they do their job. It's just like the creative process behind this is just something I can respect, definitely. I don't think more bands need to do it. It's been done. It's okay. It's not. I don't think an average gym needs them. So yeah,
Yeah. So you're not going to make any no tex holds for your brand.
I don't think so. Or no, let me rephrase that. Maybe an average gym needs 10 of those, but they don't need a no text hold from every single brand on the planet.
What is the use other than, I guess, just like paddles when you're setting?
You can set everything with them, no? They're just, you use them as holds. It's just like that. They don't have friction. Um, so yeah, they were originally meant as this like sort of electric new modern style products. But obviously you can use them for everything else as well. You can set the V0 with them. Why not? I don't think it's the best
Can you?
idea. Yeah, and you put them in a slab. They're all jugs. You put them on a slab, put them 20 centimeters apart, and it's a V0. So
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable doing a full V0 no tex climb.
I didn't say it's a good idea. I said it's possible.
Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. All right. So I think those are all my questions. We can move into some of the Discord questions now. Some setting and hold shaping stuff. So the first one, how do you see route setting and World Cup comps changing over the next decade? Do you think there will be an evolution in styles or like specialized climbing holds that competitors have like never touched before? Yeah, do you think there will be any dramatic changes?
I don't know what's dramatic for you, but I think we'll sort of see more and more complex movement on buttons. Like when this whole parkour whatever style came out, it was all like running on huge volumes, jumping on jugs and stuff, just trying to get as far as possible. I think we're sort of going away from that. I think in the future, yes, there'll be a lot of coordination, but on like bad holds, I think the ending positions are going to be more precise. I hope we're going to go more in again. In terms of not having, boulders that are 12 meters wide. But yeah, like more complex on worse holds. Also, I think, like, talking to some of the IFSC setters, I feel like we might be going back to more power stuff, which is good. I feel like a round should test the climber in all of the climbing aspects, in all of the styles. But it is, like in a finals round, you only have 4 boulders. So in reality, you have to choose all the climbing types that you're going to test them on. I hope, I feel like right now we're sort of like every comp has the same 4 or 5 different skills that the comps are sort of like questioning, or, I feel like we maybe go a tiny bit like away from that. We introduce more styles in. I hope the setting will make it possible for the best all-around climber to win comps. And you can't say the best climber isn't winning right now. I think the best climber is winning, but the best climber in the styles that are presented is winning. And I'm not saying like it wouldn't be the same people winning. I'm just like, maybe let's introduce more styles.
I guess what do you mean by like wanting it to be more like inwards?
It's just the size of the boulders. Like sometimes you'd see something ridiculous where it's like
But why does
the
that
boulder
bother
is,
you?
because I think it's very personal, but I don't like moves that are hard just because they're long.
Mm-hmm.
Sort of like a run across 8 volumes where you jump from a really big jug to a really big jug in the end. I think that's testing just one part of climbing. I think it should rather be running your free volumes where the starting position is bad and the ending position is bad. Because I feel like that sort of tests more things. Yes, it tests your coordination, but it also tests whether you're strong enough to pull from like bad holds, and whether your balance is good enough to end the move in a weird position. So you get more aspects tested than just like having like this gigantic moves.
Okay, makes sense. And so, in terms of like your hold shaping and setting, does your setting inspire your hold shaping more, or does your hold shaping inspire your setting more?
I think it feeds off off each other. It's just like when I'm setting, I'm thinking about shaping. When I'm shaping, I'm thinking about setting. So it's sort of like a connected thing that you just, for me, like one doesn't work without the others. Probably, I could probably be setting if I wasn't a shaper. But yeah, yeah. I get the inspiration in shaping and in setting. So
I guess, is there any time when you're setting where you're like, oh, I really wish I had this kind of hold, and then you have to be the one to make it?
yeah, but it's not necessarily about like the outline or the shape of the holds. I would like sometimes I would think about, well, what kind of a grip would I need here? Like, well, it'd be really cool if you had like a sloper that's kind of positive but not really, or whatever. I'm just and then sometimes I'm like, oh, I wish I had this like really high profile thing that would be this size and this. So yeah, I do think about the shapes a lot when setting.
Okay, next question. More general, I guess. What's it like climbing with Janja?
It's just impressive.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like last year before Paris, it was just like every day, because we trained together like most of the days, and every day I was just like watch her climb and be like, well, this is the perfect climber. There's nothing else you can do. This is, like you can't get better. And yet every day she gets better.
Just in terms of like training, or like the I don't know what she's
It's
doing on
everything.
the
It's like
wall.
power, tactics, endurance, style, technique, everything. I'll remember like she'd do like 70, 80 move circuits on a spray wall. And she would do them. I'll be like, well, those are some of the hardest moves. And she just did 80 of them. I guess she does like, you can't get better. And then she'd jump down and she'd be like, ugh. And then the coach would be like, what do you think? He's like, well, I could have done this better. And he's like, yes, and this. So it's just like, it's mind blowing. Yeah, it's also, at first I had like a problem training with her because it's just like, it can be really demoralizing.
Okay, yeah.
But and then we had a period when we didn't train together that much because it wasn't working for neither of us. But like last years we trained together, and I kind of switched from fuck she's much better than me to being like, well, she's this good, I can learn from her, and I'm pretty sure I can be this strong. And I feel like this, it made me, I think I was the strongest ever in my last year. It didn't show in the results, which sucks, but I feel like physically I was in best shape in my last year because I was just like that. I was like, this is what I want. She's just like, she's ridiculously good. It's what you see at comps is not even close to being an estimation how good she actually is.
That's good to know. I guess when you said that sometimes it would feel like demoralizing training with her, um, I don't know. How do you like get over that feeling?
Just like I said, it's just like you have to get over it and be like, okay, she's better, but let's just learn from her. It's the same as training with anyone who's better than you. It's just like, well, you either cry about it and you don't train with them, or you're like, they're good, I'm gonna train with them, get as good as them.
You said that your training styles were like kind of different, and so you also didn't really train together because of that. It kind of like also reminded me of what you said about like training with your brother in terms of like different training styles. Like, in what way do you want training styles to be like similar so that you would train with someone?
With Janja, it was different. I think it was just sort of like, I think we're both pretty hard people to train, like to coach, sorry. Um, Obviously, very different level. She's the greatest of all time. I'm not comparing myself to her. But it's just like we do both get like super annoyed with ourselves. We get like annoying, like really annoying.
Okay.
And I think there was a point where we would get annoying at the same times, and we would get annoyed to each other, like with each other, and it just didn't work. But I think it was mostly because I was just frustrated not being as good as her. Because, but I like the in terms of like the training partner. I think for me, we're just like to walk into the gym and train with someone who just sort of like lifts you up, and then if you have like two people that are just so psyched to get better, it's just like they don't even need to be training on the same boulders, training on the same routes, whatever. They don't need to be doing the same thing, but just having like two training partners, they're just like so psyched to get better is just like gonna bring the motivation up.
Yeah,
I
true.
was sort of thinking about this the other day when now Jungwon Chan and his brother Jejun were in Slovenia training,
Oh, nice.
and I live like 5 minutes away from the gym, so almost every day I'll walk in to say hi to everyone and drink coffee with them. And with them, Janja and Angèle had training, and like, I was sitting there sipping coffee. Like I was there for 45 minutes. I was like, this is the first time I actually missed training hard because the
Oh,
psych was so high. Everyone was just like pushing each other so much. Just like that. And that's exactly the training environment I think we need to succeed. Yeah.
and what's like one? I mean, you said that you learned a lot from her. Is there anything that really stands out to you in terms of things you learned?
It's just that I think her try hard is just, yeah. Nobody tries as hard as her. Yeah.
How did you like incorporate that into your own training? Just like the psych of trying hard?
I think I'm not a very talented climber. I don't think I ever was. I think I'm the one thing that I was sort of good at is trying hard. Um, but I kind of lost it there for a second for a couple of years. And but what trying hard feels to me is just like every time you get on the wall, it's just like you push yourself just just a tiny bit more than you thought it could be possible. And I've after like training with her for like a long time, I was like always like, okay, but she just gives so much more. And I was thinking about that a lot. So I like consciously try to push it more. But it's very hard to put it in words, but yeah, just like every move you do that feels on the limit, you give more than you could possibly do. And it's funny, like I talked to I don't know, I've talked to one of the coaches in the Slovenian team. I was like, I feel like if you try hard, one move can wear you down so much that you're gonna feel it like 3 days. Like one try on one move, if you really try hard, if you really push your body, like
I wonder if I try hard. I don't know. I gotta think about it.
I don't want to be mean, but I'm sure you're not. I
Uh,
don't think I. I
yeah.
think most people. I think most people don't. Like I genuinely think that most people don't. Yeah.
I think I've gotten better at it, but it was really bad before. Yeah. Last question anyway. This one came from Matt, so I wonder if this is just like Matt Groom. So I just wonder if it's yeah, I don't know. Maybe he's just trolling. He just says, "How can I be like you?"
I think he's just trolling.
Yeah. I mean, are you guys close? Or
I mean, we've gotten closer, yeah, because of all the traveling, and yeah, I think he's cool. We're friends, and it's cool having him around in the circuit.
did you ever like co-commentate World Cups?
I'm not sure if I've ever done it with Matt. I've done it with Charlie.
Oh, really?
When Charlie
Okay.
was still around. Yeah. Not a lot. I don't think people should be listening to me on streams. I don't think my English is good enough to be.
Oh, that's not true. That's not true at all.
But, yeah, I think you should be professional doing it. So I don't think it's the best idea to have athletes, even though I think there is a certain element that the athletes can bring. But yeah, I didn't like doing it that much.
Oh, really? Okay. Well, I mean, you commentated a bit for the I forget what it was. Just for like some of the competitions you had set recently, right?
Ah, yeah, Dock Masters, but that wasn't really commentating, was it? It was just more talking about setting and boulders, and it wasn't like on the stream speaking about climbing. I don't think my brain works fast enough to do that job. So
Oh, really? Okay. Okay, cool. Well, I think that's all the questions I had then. Do you have any like final thoughts or words of wisdom you want to get out there?
I don't think I'm wise enough to give words of wisdom.
Oh, come on. I feel like you've been saying that a lot, that you're not good at whatever and whatever else, but I mean, come on. You gotta have a little something.
Train harder. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, that's all I had for today. Thanks for joining me. You want to let people know where they can find you?
I'm in the gym most of the time now.
Yeah.
Other than that, I'm on Instagram.
I will link that in the description. Well, awesome. Thank you again. And it was amazing to talk to you.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much for making it to the end of the podcast. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Otherwise, you are a super fake climber. If you're listening on a podcasting platform, I'd appreciate if you rate it 5 stars, and you can continue the discussion on the free competition climbing Discord linked in the description. Thanks again for listening.